الله عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة غريب يا مظلوم عطشان كربلاء ما خاب من تمسك بكم وأمن من لجأ إليكم يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما سيدي إن لم يجبك بدني عند استغاثتك أو لساني عند استنصارك فقد أجابك قلبي وسمعي وبصري لبيك داعي الله لبيك لبيك يا أبا عبد الله لبيك أما بعد يقول الله في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. Please bless this majlis with a very loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Have any of the ulama or the maraji' ever met Sahib al-Asri wa zaman Ajjalullahu ta'ala farajahu sharif? Have the awliya, those who have sacrificed so much for Allah and His way, been granted the ultimate honor of meeting the Imam of their time? I don't think there's a bigger honor for any lover of the Ahlul Bayt than actually meeting the Ahlul Bayt. And we know the Imams of Ahlul Bayt are charitable. Among them, Kareem Ahlul Bayt, generous, giving. And if you give them, they give you back even more. You remember them, they remember you. In the ziyarat of Sayyid al-Shuhada, you say very clearly, and I testify, أشهد أنك تسمع كلامي, that you hear my words, ترد سلامي, you reply back to my salam. This is something that can only be done by a person who can live and speak and reply. And we know very well Sahib al-Asr, Ajjalullahu ta'ala farajahu sharif, is among us, despite what many might say. But the question remains, has any one of them met Sahib al-Zaman? This is relevant. Why? It's relevant because it showcases the rahmah of Allah on earth, that after going through so much and not being misguided and distracted and not being compelled by shaitan, that Allah can reward you with things like this, to see the Imam of your time. It's relevant on a theological, aqaidi level. It proves to you that when you say my Imam is not vanished, is not gone just because he's in ghaibah, it proves to you that argument is true. Because to show that the Imam is alive is to show examples of people meeting him. So it further strengthens the argument that, listen, Allah is too good and too kind than to deprive the world with a living hujjah. And what is he called? Baqiyatullah, the remnant of Allah on earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's earth is filled with the salih and it's filled with the talih. Allah's earth, unfortunately, doesn't have too many ma'soomeen walking on it. As nice as all of you are and how beautiful the Sydney community is, I don't think I've met a ma'soom. Although some people like to think they are, and they can never make mistakes. But here, especially in this community, mu'minun, mu'minat, طاهرون, awliya even, ulama, mudahun, but not ma'sumun, not infallible. Fallible meaning, by the way, free from error and sin. That doesn't mean you're a hujjah of Allah. But have any of the ulama met Imam al-Mahdi? And this gives me and you a little bit of hope. Because if someone has met him, asa wa la'al, perhaps from Allah's grace, I can also see the Imam of my time. Let's discuss these pages of Islamic history by examining the very first point about this discussion. Number one, people will ridicule us about this concept. Before we even discuss the possibility and if any of the ulama have met Imam al-Mahdi, how they met him, let's discuss very briefly that the discussion of Mahdiism, or the view of a savior who will come at a time of deep turmoil, arduous, tumultuous pandemonium, the world has gone haywire, it's gone mad, common sense, ethics, and logic and modesty has went out the door. These are typically the signs of the dhuhur. People will mock us. Why? I remember even reading from a leader of a particular nation who said, I can't make any terms or contracts with this X nation because they believe in something called the Mahdi. Iran. They believe in the Mahdi. And these people believe in a messianic figure, messianism, that this guy will come. But the thing is, it's fine. I mean, we all believe in some degree of someone who fixed the problems, right? But this one happens to be alive today. So he's like very old. He's among them. Where is he? They don't even know. And this is mythological, silly. The problem is, you ask some of those detractors about the concept of Sahib al-Asri wa zaman, and they will tell you the main issue, and I find it so funny when they say, this is my issue with him. You could have thought of something else. Is that how can he still be alive if you say he is the son of Al-Hassan Al-Askari, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh, the 11th Imam of Ahl al-Bayt. He's his son. He entered Ghaibah. He's still alive. They will tell you it would be better in your interest, aqaidi speaking, that if you were to say his example is like the example of Isa ibn Maryam Ruhullah. Why? Because we don't believe Isa is on earth. We believe he went to where? The Jinan. And so that makes more sense for him to be alive among us today. That's true. It would make more sense if someone is in heaven because there's no concept of age and time. It's as if you're not Muslim, ya habibi. If that's your problem, I'll give you someone who's lived much longer. Nabi Nuh in the Quran, many traditions say he lived for over 2,000 of these years. Adam, he lived to about 1,000 years. Ashab al-Kahf, the people and the sleepers of the cave, 300 or so odd years. These are good people, by the way. Put them to the side. Shaitan, you all know, hopefully you hate him too. Shaitan, how long has he lived for? And is it impossible in Allah's system to generate a code, and we're using database terms, we're using coding now, to generate a code that in his system, in his profile, he lives a long time. Hence from his title, Sahib al-Asri wa zaman. He is in ownership of the time and of place by the will of Allah. But why? It's only to say that Allah is too Rahim, He's too good to deprive the world of a hujjah. And you can find the examples of these in the Holy Quran. And by the way, when we refute and we respond, we do it with kindness. Because I still know that my Sunni brother and sister, they believe in Imam al-Mahdi. They just disagree with me on some of the details about Imam al-Mahdi. And the main detail is this one right here, that he can't be living. It's not something that Allah will do, even though we just mentioned a few examples of the good, the bad, and sometimes the ugly, who can live a very long time by the qudra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah gives that to Shaitan, one of the worst of his creation. He can't give that to Sahib al-Asri wa zaman, one of the best of his creation. That's one. Two, they believe, our brothers and sisters from the non-Shia worldview, respectfully speaking, that the Mahdi comes from the lineage of Imam al-Hassan, not from the lineage of Imam al-Hussein. This is important to some of them. Why? I remember listening to Yasser Qadhi. Do you guys know that? Mufti, doctor, professor, studied at Medina University, became a top quality scholar, graduated from Yale University, Islamic Studies, high credited scholar, worth his weight in academia, and I respect the fact that he put his effort into studying Islamic sciences. He says, Videos online, you can see it. Leader of Al-Maghrib Institute. That Al-Hassan gave up political power. Because he made the sulh between him and Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. As a result, he gave up ruleship and political power. As a result, Allah will reward him with a boy from his lineage who will have political power. So the Mahdi comes from his lineage because he gave it up. Allah compensates him for making that the savior who controls and has power of all society is from his lineage. As for Hussein, and this is very sad to have heard this, as for Hussein, he went to go gain political power. Where did he go, Sayyid al-Shuhada? From Medina, then to Mecca. He went to Kufa because the Kufans dispatched letters, come and rule and be our Amir. So because he set forth to gain political power, do you see the logic? Allah, astaghfirullah, had him disciplined in the way he had been in Karbala. So, and as a result, the Mahdi is not from his lineage because he wanted the dunya, according to his words. He wanted the dunya, so Allah gave him that difficult ending. As for Al-Hassan, he gave up hubb al-dunya and rule and conquest, so Allah rewarded him by giving the Mahdi from his lineage. How disrespectful to Sayyid al-Shuhada that kind of analysis is. Taban, he got a lot of backlash and had to issue a public apology. Apology not to the Muslims, issue to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam al-Hussein knows his taklif better than you do. You don't wake up in the 21st century and say, Hussein should have done this. You can't last a minute in our history. Us Shia went through so much chain and fire and persecution, which, by the way, is among the other signs of the presence of the Mahdi today. That who can survive what we survived from Hajjaj bin Yusuf al-Thaqafi, from the Khulafa and their excuse called the Ridda Wars, because we decided not to pledge allegiance to anyone except the man chosen on Ghadir Khum. And as a result, they called us apostates, like Malik bin Nuwayra, and what happened to him in that account. We survived the likes such as As-Saffah, Abu Ja'far al-Mansur al-Dewaniqi, Al-Mutawakkil al-Abbasi, alayhi la'in Allah, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, Yazid ibn Muawiyah. These who would come and divert the Furat to go over the grave of Sayyid al-Shuhada so that it could hide his body, because people would go miles to visit him. So take the Furat, divert, dig, make sure the water goes around his grave. Why? So that people can no longer find his body and do ziyarah there. The water, do you know what it did? According to history, it went around his grave instead. It had no way to go over it. And those who witnessed this, they said, this is a condition that has left us combuzzled. Hayyaratna. The water and the people became ha'ir. And henceforth, many of the families from that Karbala region, they have the last name al-Ha'iri. Because of that circumstance and that zahira, that miracle, that no matter how hard, as the Quran says, you try to dim the nur of Allah, Allah fulfills that His nur stays bright. We survived all of these persecutions until we reach someone like Saddam and Banu Umayyah today, and we still stand strong. Do you know who helped us? Sahib Zaman. There was a hand behind us, guiding who? Our ulama. It's not easy to make these decisions. You go through revolution and problem and world events and persecution. That if you were to make ziyarah to Sayyid al-Shuhada, we were banned from going to his haram from 1970 to 2003. We were unable to visit Imam al-Hussein's haram. And today, I don't know if you saw recently, did you guys see that the Atab al-Abbasiyya al-Muqaddasa, announced by his custodian, Sayyid Ahmed al-Safi, he issued the public statement, today it was released, that Saddam's representatives in Karbala, you all saw this maybe, watch, look for it, Al-Atab al-Abbasi al-Muqaddasa, Wathiqat Saddam Hussein, la'natullahi alayh, that they said, we promise we will never visit Hussein ibn Ali, an official document, and we will stop those from making his ziyarah. Anyone who made his ziyarah had their limbs cut off. How we survived, we don't know. In fact, we do know. There was divine intervention through the remnant of Allah on earth, Baqiyatullah. Every other group would have been perished, except if it wasn't for someone inspiring us, guiding us. And I don't need to go further. You've seen some of our wonderful shabab. They will tell you that there are signs we've seen in confrontation, be it either in the front lines. We had no way of attaining success. Somehow we got aid from a source we did not know. These things happen for those who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are some differences, but the thing is, the beautiful thing about Sahib al-Zaman is that he's also the grandson of Imam al-Hassan. He matches every condition everyone wants. Imam al-Mahdi is the grandson of Imam al-Hassan. How? Because al-Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam, Imam Hussein's son, married al-Imam al-Hassan's daughter Fatima bint al-Hassan. And you know who they had as their son? Al-Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam. And so Imam al-Baqir, from his paternal side, he's related to Imam al-Hussein. Al-Imam al-Baqir, through his maternal side, he's related to Imam al-Hassan. So even that condition, the Mahdi can only be from who? Al-Hassan's line. Imam al-Mahdi does come from that line because his great-grandfather is Hassani and Husseini at the same exact time. There is no excuse. Give the old age example. I even read Bukhari. He talks about the Prophet walking by one of the seaside shores and he hears groaning, someone in the distance complaining. And they said, the companions, Ya Rasulullah, what's that noise? He said, do you see that island? This is not a hadith in our literature as Shia Ahl al-Bayt. Do you see that island? He says, yes. On the island lives a character by the name of Al-A'war al-Dajjal. Dajjal is on that island and he will not leave the island until the day Allah decides to release him, and he will be a force counter the force of the Mahdi min wuldi Fatima. So there's a part of that which is true, Al-Mahdi min wuldi Fatima. But the Dajjal lives on an island and he's complaining and he's making this loud noise, and Allah allows him to live a long life so that he confronts Imam Mahdi one day. So why don't you accept the fact that the Mahdi can live a long life, ya Hadli? It's not that hard. It's within Allah's capability and capacity. These things aside, the last conclusion is, of course, many people will ridicule you. If you look at comment sections, they will make fun of your Mahdi. Oh, your Mahdi lives in a bloody cave. He's afraid. Why doesn't he show up? I would be careful if you start making fun of the family of the Prophet like this, lest you enter a category of nusb, hatred to the Ahlul Bayt. And what if one day we were right? Let's just say we're wrong in your mind. What if we're right and the Mahdi appears? You just made fun of him like that. Have some etiquette, have some mannerism here. That we, your fellow brother and sister, you want to be that confident, you have to be sure that you have a very clean conscience, because they'll make fun of us. The problem is, if your foundation was weak, of course you're going to make fun of the Mahdi. When you have a very fickle understanding of Allah, when people ask you about Sahib al-Zaman today, my dear brothers and sisters, tell them, before I begin answering your questions, because there's no answer that I will give you that you will be fully happy with. I'm just going to teach you about my aqa'id. But before I answer, do you and I sync with Rasulullah? Or is Rasulullah a character that can also have flaws and frowns at blind people and gets mad and makes fun of them, as in the ayat of Abbas wa tawalla an ja'ahu al-a'ma? Is that the same prophet? Or how about your Allah and the concepts of anthropomorphism? Does he genuinely have a leg? When you read ayat such as Ar-Rahman ala al-Arsh istawa, does he have a back? Do you really believe in that? Because if I start answering questions about Sahib al-Zaman, enter the asas, the foundation, you have a massive difference with me on. So I am not even going to entertain you by answering some of these questions. Unless, brothers and sisters, if someone is genuinely curious, genuinely interested in learning. But sadly today, most of these discussions come from a place of what? Of ad hominem attacks, of mocking me, of mocking you. So you have to assess the situation. Is it worth discussing with you or no? These are common issues that we face on a daily basis. But given that, if you inshallah ta'ala have gone past this concern, that listen, my faith with my Mahdi is strong. Don't let some teenager on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, don't let some 12-year-old, it's like a kid who just wrote something and you're like, wow, there's a lot of people that make fun of me. People who can't even write their name in Arabic, who come out of nowhere and say, look, there's no Mahdi, you guys are silly, he lives in a basement, and if I didn't know any better, I could feel like the whole world goes against me. Little did you know that we all synchronize on this, that we all believe in such a concept, but we differ on some concepts and some ideas and details here and there. After having established this, can we meet Sahib al-Zaman or no? Number one, remember that Imam al-Mahdi, Ajjalullahu ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif, he is on the earth or he is taken up like Allah raised Isa and Idris. رَفَعْنَاهُ مَكَانًا عَلِيًّا. The answer to this, because some of our brothers and sisters will ask, is he literally here? Where is he? Is he on earth? Is he walking? Does he live somewhere? Hala, I know when he comes, he takes Kufa as his capital, Masjid al-Sahla as his residence. Is he on earth? Or is he like Jesus? Allah, ghayba meant he takes him up somewhere. The answer is found in the Ziyarat al-Faraj of Sahib al-Zaman himself. Read it. Allahumma kun liwaliyika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan salawatuka alayhi wa ala fi hadhihi as-sa'a wa fi kulli. Continue. Waliyan wa be, O Allah, dua of this is for the Imam to be in safe. Allah to watch over him. Allah, kun li waliyika. Allah, be to your wali. Al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. Be what? Salawatuka alayhi wa ala aba'ih. In this time, fi hadhihi as-sa'a. And in every time, wa fi kulli sa'a. Waliyan wa hafidha. Protect him. If he's taken to the heavens, does he need protection? It is to indicate Imam Mahdi is among us, but I ask you, Ya Allah, watch for his well-being. You're basically making a dua when you say, Allahumma kulli walika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, dua al-Faraj, is so, Ya Allah, take care of the Imam of my time. You know the very beautiful reminder that one of the names of Sayyid al-Shuhada and titles is Gharib al-Ghuraba. How would you translate Gharib al-Ghuraba? The most lonely of the lonely. Gharib, salawatullahi alayh. Of course, you're gharib when you're in Karbala, 30,000 are your opposition, and you're just with your family, your babies, your children, the family. And after your Sahaba, 72, max, 120, you're gharib. Those proportions indicate you are what? Lonely. Imam al-Hussein is gharib al-ghuraba. But honestly, it seems like Sahib al-Zaman is a bit more gharib. Because at the very least, Imam al-Hussein he is gharib, but he had his brother Abbas to be his backbone. Eventually that back would break, sahih, but he had him. Where is the Abbas for Sahib al-Zaman? Imam Hussein is gharib, ya shabab, he is. Salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh. But he had Zainab al-Aqilah to be with him through thick and thin. Where is the Sayyida Zainab for Sahib al-Zaman? Imam Hussein is gharib, but he had al-Akbar to stand with him, his boy, who made him so proud. Where is the Akbar for Imam al-Mahdi? He is gharib. He had his nephew al-Qasim. Where is the Qasim for Sahib al-Zaman? You know what the answer to that is? Antum, insha'Allah, you are the Abbas for your Mahdi. You are the Sayyida Zainab for Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. You will be the Qasim. Be that. One way to do this is to always say, Allahumma kun liwaliyika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا بولي وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. This dua itself, brothers and sisters, this dua itself indicates he's on earth. Ya Allah, just protect him. That's all I want. He's my Imam. Pray for your Imam's well-being for goodness sake. You pray for everyone's well-being. You ask Allah my well-being. Have you ever asked for your Imam and the Imam of your time's well-being? So this indicates he's among us. That's for a fact. What about, is there any concrete evidence from the Quran? You can bring me hadith, you can bring me ideas. Logic says you need to have someone representing God. Is there anything in the Quran? There are many. Try using these ayat here and there. The first is what we begun with. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. How does this ayah prove Sahib al-Zaman? If you were to be asked, prove to me Imam Mahdi from the Quran. Because I agree this is a good argument. That if you're going to tell me to believe in something that amazing, an Imam, Ghaib, Munqadh, Muntadhar, Al-Bashariyah, can you find me in the Quran? Or are you going to bring me hadith? Okay. How do you expect Allah to fulfill this promise? هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى. He is the one, يعني Allah, who has dispatched his messenger with what? With guidance, بالهدى, ودين الحق, and the true faith. To do what? This is the point that solidifies that a Mahdi is necessary. لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ. So that he imposes this way of life upon all faiths, even if the disbelievers dislike that. I ask you today, has this ayah been fulfilled? Ask yourself this question. Has the deen of haqq and hidayah been the prominent deen of all faiths? No. There are so many worldviews, ideas, ideologies, beliefs. This has not happened yet. So what does this mean? It means it has to happen because Allah promised it. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. Ya Allah, there are still adyan كلها. There are still mushrikun. So how did this happen yet? It has to happen through one way. Someone fulfills it. If you leave it to us, we're going to mess it up. You leave anything to insan, we'll mess it up. Humanity got Ali ibn Abi Talib. Think about that. Guess where history placed him, and guess where most people and empires placed him? Number 4. Give Amir al-Mu'mineen to us, we mess it up. We never do Ahlul Bayt haqq. That we had 11 Imams of Ahlul Bayt. Ayatollah as-Sayyid Abu al-Qasim al-Khoi, the Marja' ad-Din al-A'la of his time. Qaddasallahu sirrahu al-Sharif. The teacher for all of the Maraja' living today. He has such a great example that he strikes for explaining the ghaib of Sahib al-Zaman. You know what he says, Ya Shabab? He says that, listen, Ya Jama'ah, Allah is so good to you. Do you believe in second chances? You think you should sometimes. Give a guy. Do you believe in third chances? Third chances is a lot. It's too much, man. You messed up 3 times. You want me? Allah gave you a 4th chance, and a 5th chance, and a 6th chance. You know where we're going with that. He gave you then Imam al-Ridha, your 7th chance, your 8th chance. He gave Imam al-Kadhim your 7th. Al-Jawad, your 9th. Al-Hadi, your 10th. Al-Askari, your 11th. And humanity still, they killed, they imprisoned, they poisoned, they slaughtered Imam al-Hussein in Karbala and his family. And Allah said, it's okay. I'll give you another chance, and another chance, and another chance. The last chance, Ayatollah as-Sayyid al-Khoi says, is like the lantern to guide you in a stormy, rainy night. And every time Allah gives you this lantern, you, ya insan, oh humanity, you know better, and you just hit it. Allah still says, but we gave you another lantern to guide you, to guide you, to guide you, to guide you. The last one, we're not going to give it to you. We're going to hold it far away. That's how Rahim Allah is, ya Allah. And his example, according to Imam al-Sadiq in Al-Kafi, is like that of the sun behind the clouds. You don't need to see the sun to know that it's radiating on you. That lamp, Allah says, I'm not going to give it to you anymore. Honestly, wallah, this might sound a bit heavy. We don't deserve Ahlul Bayt. We don't deserve. They're so good and too good for us. Look how Rahim Allah is. That He gave us not only one Imam, even though society backstabbed him, and his family and his wife and everything there was. Allah gave us 12 chances. Don't blame Allah and His divine system for making the last Imam a ghaib Imam, because they would have just killed him. What, you want Allah to keep sending you Imams and one killed after the other? For those who ask you next time, your Imam's in ghaibah, your Imam is hiding. Yeah, you want him to come and you want to behead him like you guys did in Karbala? Like you guys did in Mosul, in Tikrit, in Ramadi, in Sham, in Halab? You want to do that? You think we're just going to keep you handing Imams? Allah gave you 11 chances. Isn't that a logical reply back? 11 chances. Even then, He gave you the 12th one. But it's not in your control anymore. That's the secret of al-ghaibah. And you know the ghaibah happened. Ghaibah sughra, 70 odd years. Al-ghaibah al-kubra. That's the one we're in today because wallah, we don't deserve it. But Allah still gives you the Imam. In that case, have there been moments where some ulama met the Imam? And can that imply that you and I can meet him? Were there women that met him? Men that met him? Or is it only ulama that meet him? What's the status about that? The answer lies with the very last deputy of Imam, Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, Ajjalullahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. As you know, his wukala were four. Wukala meaning his deputies. When you enter an occultation, meaning inaccessible to the public, you send people to act in your interest. He sends Uthman ibn Sa'id al-Amari, which is the first representative. The second, Muhammad ibn Uthman. The third, Hussein ibn Rawh. And the fourth, Ali bin Muhammad. Ali bin Muhammad, this was 70 years, or approximately 69. Ali bin Muhammad, he calls the Shia, Ya Ahl al-Alam, I am going to pass away. My Imam said in 6 days you will die. Let it be known that there is no more wukala and representatives. I am the last. And from now on, this ghaiba has finished. The minor ghaiba sughra. The big ghaiba al-kubra has now begun. And I need you to understand one thing. فَأَمَّا الْحَوَادِثَ الْوَاقِعَةِ As for any issue that exists, فَارْجَعُ فِيهَا إِلَى رَوَاتِ حَدِيثِنَا Refer back in regards to any issue now, because they would refer to the representative of Sahab al-Zaman to answer their fiqh questions. As for now, the issues, because there's no more wukala, return back to those who narrate our traditions, meaning the ulama, meaning the upright scholars. فَارْجَعُ فِيهَا إِلَى رَوَاتِ حَدِيثِنَا فَإِنَّهُمْ حُجَّتِي عَلَيْكُمْ وَأَنَا حُجَّةَ اللَّهِ For they are my representatives upon you, and I am the representative of Allah. That's why all of our ulama are the representatives of Sahab al-Zaman. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They all represent Imam al-Mahdi. Yes, they might have differences of agreements according to conclusions on Islamic law, but that does not deter from the fact that Habibi, wallah, after the Imams of Ahl al-Bayt, logically, the next best thing is the most knowledgeable in the Sharia al-Islamiyya, the Alim al-Rabbani, who when you see them, they just gravitate you toward Rabbil Alameen. You know our ulama, I'm going to be a bit childish about this one. Maybe childish is not the best word, but a bit reductive. Sometimes all it takes is that nadhra, meaning just glance upon some of our scholars. Just do a glance. This is not a hujjah. This is not a proof about haqq and batil. Just compare the alim from the worldview of the thaqalain, the Quran and Ahl al-Bayt. Do you not see a form of radiance from them at times? Think of any alim that you love, genuinely love, charismatically speaking, praying and worshipping. There appears to be a radiance from them, subhanAllah. We call this nur. سِيمَاهُمْ فِي وُجُوهِهِمْ مِنْ أَثَرِ السُّجُودِ They have so much of the rahmah of Allah bestowed upon them that the ghadab of Allah is not there. I want you to look at the opposite. There are those who all they talk about is bloodthirsty killing. Kill the Shia, kill the Rafidi, kill the Nasrani, Ahl al-Bid'ah, Ahl al-Shirk. Looking like, I don't want to be respectful on the member, looking like the farthest thing that could ever be associated with nur and hidayah. Sometimes just a glance. And you can sense this, genuinely speaking. The next best thing to the Ahl al-Bayt, genuinely speaking. Return back to those who narrate my hadith. فَإِنَّهُمْ حُجَّتِي عَلَيْكُمْ وَأَنَا حُجَّةَ اللَّهِ وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَةُ اللَّهِ وَبَرَكَاتُهُ He ends this. In this context, what did the Imam say though? He sealed the deal though. He sealed it. He said that أَلَا فَمَنَ ادَّعَى الرُّؤْيَا فَكَذُّبُوا Now this is a problem. Because now whoever claims they have seen me, make them liars. They are liars if they say. Sometimes you see claims, such as so-and-so met the Imam, saw the Imam, Alim X, Y, Z. How do we assess this? Sometimes you might have heard of stories, by the way. You could hear something like Sheikh Bahjat, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, may have had an encounter. Sheikh Murtada al-Ansari, one of our grand ulama, he met Sahab al-Zaman. But wait, I thought Imam Mahdi himself said, مَنِ ادَّعَى الرُّؤْيَا فَكَذَّبُوا How do we square that circle? Because if that stands for what it means no one can see Imam Mahdi. So that's it, man. We're going to keep working our best and we'll never see him. No. If you pay attention, Ahl al-Bayt, they're very careful with their words. They don't speak redundant. They are from the source of the Quran, and they're the root of the Quran. They don't speak redundant. They use proper statements. He said, فَمَنِ ادَّعَى الرُّؤْيَا Whoever, what does Advertisement mean in Arabic, for example? How do you say that? Da'ayah. A da'ayah, what's the purpose of that? A da'ayah means you try to mass announce something. Isn't that what you call a da'ayah? An ad? A billboard? He says, man da'a al-ru'ya. Whoever mass announces that they have seen me, فَكَذَّبُوا, then make it clear that they're liars. Anyone who publicly comes and says, guys, I've seen the Mahdi and I have access to him. We had a riffraff in Iraq called a Sirhi who would say, when you visit me, I will pour you 3 istikanat chai. Yani, what does that? Yani, you know the chai, right? I'll pour 3 if you visit me. If you visit me, so there's 2 people, me and you. Why 3? You know where this is going, right? Knucklehead. He says, I give you 1 chai, I give me 1 chai, and there's a wall right here. I go behind and I give chai right there. You don't need to know what's behind there. And then he says, it's Sahab al-Zaman. I'm giving him chai as well. Yeah, because he drinks your chai. People's chai like this is sum, who claim that they have association and affiliation with Sahab al-Zaman so they can get some of this. Come to me, send your huquq to me because I have direct contact with the guy. This is what Imam Mahdi is referring to, by the way. Man da'a al-ru'ya. Whoever publicly announces, Ya Ahl al-Alam, I know the Qa'im, give me some of your wealth. That's literally it. How about if someone doesn't publicly announce it, and it happens to be the case that they had an encounter, and all they say is, look, I had an encounter. Halla, was it Imam? Or was it just some experience? But it clearly appears to be something special. These you can definitely believe in. You've heard of Ali ibn Mahzayar. Ali ibn Mahzayar, he went to Hajj 10 times. Each Hajj is 1 year. Every year. 10 years he would go to Hajj and with just the niyyah to see Imam Mahdi. Why? Because we have in the hadith by Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam that he attends Hajj. Imam Mahdi attends Hajj every year. Why does he attend Hajj every? Why? He did it once, Hajj wajib. Why would you every single year? Because for the Ahl al-Bayt, the mustahab is wajib. The makruh is haram. Have you ever thought about that? Ahl al-Bayt, that's what is mustahab, meaning recommended for you and I to do, is wajib for them. There is no such thing as makruh or mustahab for them. It's only wajib and haram. For us, there's makruh, mubah, wajib, haram. There are these that exist because they're the best example. So if they let go of an opportunity to do something good, why would I ever do it? They skipped a nafilah. Salat al-Layl for the Ahlul Bayt was wajib. They have to pray it. Because if they don't pray it, why would I ever pray it? It's like, Ya Allah, it's just mustahab. And your own hujjah doesn't do it. So the Ahlul Bayt do wajib that we would do and consider mustahab. And they would avoid the makruh that we consider just reprehensible, discouraged. For them it was haram to do because they have to be the best example. Because of that, Hajj, first time is wajib. Ever since after that, it's mustahab. Not for Imam Mahdi. That's why every year he goes to Hajj. That's why the hadith says, be very kind and gentle when you go to Hajj. When you're in the crowd like this, don't push people left and right. It might be difficult, lest you may be near the Imam of your time. And you just behaved in a way, sometimes very animalistically. Get out, move, whatever. I want to pray by the rukn. Chill. Arafah comes, he's there. So one can deduce what? That if he's in Mecca every Hajj, I only wonder where he is on the 10th of Muharram. One can deduce, that's all. I'm not saying this is where he is. What do I know? But one can deduce that every wilada, every shahada, he may be there in association to the occasion that we commemorate. How do we all love that on the 14th of Rajab, or on the birth of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, we'd love to be in Najaf? One can only imagine. And can it be in these places we could see the Imam? Maybe. Ali ibn Mahzayar, 10 years doing Hajj. The 10th year, they say to him, Ali, come with us. He says, I don't want to go. Like, why? He says, look, I've been going to Hajj just so I see him. I haven't seen him. And this is the 10th year. And it's mustahab anyways. Well, first was wajib. Just go without me. I've been going with this intention in mind. He's like, okay. Ali ibn Mahzayar sleeps, has a dream, and he sees what he says an angel tell him in the dream. Ali, you have to go to Hajj this year. What you want, you shall see. He awakes. He's like, I guess I'm going to make the trip. there was a good omen. And sometimes there are haqa'iq in dreams. So many dreams are just whatever. If the dream carries with meaning, there's a symbol in your dream that you feel like, no, this has depth, it could be, reflect over what it means. He goes to Hajj as initially he refused. And while he's doing tawaf, someone grabs him by the shoulder and says, Ya Ali, your master waits you, follow me. And he follows this random person. But he knows this is what he's been waiting for. And he continues, and they go through a valley, around cliffs, and he gets to a hill. He says, on the top of this hill, on the top of it, there's a tent. Ali ibn Mahdi makes it to the top of the tent. Have you heard of the nasheed Salam Ya Mahdi, the very popular, beautiful nasheed? In it, they talk about how I want to have an ishq for you like how Ali ibn Mahdi had. It's in reference to this guy. You see his name referenced. He gets to the top of the tent. He asks permission. May I enter? Whoever is here. He enters and he says, I saw with my own two eyes the ultimate splendor and joy, the Imam of my time, sitting there, and he says, Oh Ali, I've been waiting for you, because Imam al-Mahdi is al-Muntadhar, not al-Muntadir. There's a difference sometimes with the Fatha and the Kasra. One means that we are waiting for him. And that's how we all assume Sahab al-Zaman is. Muntadir, right? We wait for him. Rather, he is waiting for you. What is he waiting for? You get your act ready and then I'm here for you. Imam says to him, Oh Ali, I've been waiting for you. 10 Hajj, this and that. But something you have been doing has prevented me from seeing you. Says what? He says, Ya Ali, you've been too consumed with this dunya. That's all. There are times in your life this dunya takes you over. Don't you feel there are moments you have ghafla, heedlessness? Ali ibn Mahdi says, I know. There are moments where I have that ghafla. Ali ibn Mahdi is not ma'soom. But he says it's these minor moments that make the biggest difference. He says, just stop chasing the dunya. Allah will send the awliya to chase you. I'll give you another example. Who knows Sayyid Ali al-Sistani? Oh no, not this one. May Allah prolong his life. His grandfather, because he is Sayyid Ali, may Allah prolong his life. His father is Sayyid Muhammad Baqir al-Sistani. His father is also called Sayyid Ali Sistani from Khurasan and lived and died in Mashhad. His grandfather. The grandfather, there's a story reported by Sayyid Yasin, Ayatollah Sayyid Yasin al-Musawi. He reports the story. And it is available. You can see this. That Sayyid Ali, the Jad, he did a nidhr, a vow. 40 days I will do what is a promise between me and Allah, that I will visit every single mosque for 40 days in my area. Each day I will visit a mosque. So 40 masajid. Each mosque I will worship Allah. At the end of it, I wish, Ya Allah, after this promise between me and you, just bless me with a glance. I don't need to necessarily shake his hand, hug him, kiss his feet, although I would love that. But I just want to see him. Just bless me with a nadhra, a glance of the Imam of my time. What an honor. 40 days he does this. On the 40th day, Sayyid Ali here says that I came out of that last 40th masjid. I stepped outside and my heart pulled me magnetically to a specific home in one of these towns that I was in, because I was bouncing through masjid and masjid. I ran out of masajid in my little village. I had to go to different towns. This town, I came out, I saw a house. My heart was taking me there. Sometimes it's a pull, and you hear these and you feel these moments where it's just like something told me to go that way. This is called tawfiq, brothers and sisters. It exists. And in English, you might call it bad luck, and you could call it good luck. In this moment, he gets pulled to this house. He says, my heart told me go there. I inclined. I went and I just knocked the door. When I knocked, he said, a young individual opened and he said, Assalamu alaikum, ayyuha Sayyid al-Jalil. Oh, noble Sayyid, your master's waiting for you. Come in. He says, when I entered the home, I saw in front of me what I didn't expect. I was looking for my Imam. I saw a casket, a taboot. And I see this casket, but not only that, it's a lady. And there's an abaya thrown over the casket, a white abaya. It's clearly a lady's janazah. He said, your Imam is in the room next door. He goes to the room next door and he sees the splendor of his eye, Sahib al-Zaman, in front of him. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Says Mawlai, I've been waiting my whole life. Imam al-Mahdi says to him, Ya Sayyid Ali, why did you do 40 days nidhr? He says, so I see you. He says, Sayyidina, don't do that. I will come to you if you behaved like this lady. He says, this lady, what's her story? He says, if more of my Shia were like her, I will come to you. No nidhr 40 days, nothing. Like this lady, I come to you. Not only that, I will pray on your body. Imagine, Imam prays on your body. So what's her story? Says, you know the horrible Shah Rida Pahlavi, the father of the riffraff that was ousted, the big one. You know that Shah? This is in that time, in the 1920s, Ataturk Shah Pahlavi. You know him? The Shah issued a law banning the hijab. And this lady feared for her hijab. And she said, I will not go outside. Because the Shah ordered police, if you see two mu'ammimeen, people who wear imamah, rip the imamah off the head. And if you see a lady wearing her hijab as Zainabi, rip the hijab off her head. And that was enforced, by the way. Many people don't know this. They say, we wish we had Iran back like that. Yeah, so then animals can rule the streets again. The ladies in the streets, they would pull her hijab like that. Because by order of the police, this lady says, I will not go outside. I will trap myself in my own home until I die. And so for 7 years, she stayed in her house until she died. He said, if more people were this devoted, Wallah, I come to you instead. And you don't have to do anything. Look at the dedication. Not only that, I'm going to pray on her. Ahlul Bayt are generous brothers and sisters. Remember them, they remember you. And I conclude with one more. As-Sayyid, he passed away 1990. Shihab ad-Din, many of you might know of him, Al-Mar'ashi al-Najafi. He has the largest Islamic Shi'i library in the world today. It's called the Mar'ashi Library in al-Muqaddasa. Grand Marja' Din. Grand Marja'. Sayyid Shihab ad-Din, he was born in Najaf, Mar'ashi Najafi. Born in Najaf, his father passed away at his early ages. He was 17 years old. He lost his dad early. And so he says, I would like to embark on the path of my father, the path of ilm. But the thing is, I have a few concerns. My memory isn't that good. How do you memorize things if your memory is not that sharp? And I'm a young man. And my finances aren't that best. And I can't afford any books as a result. So here's what I'll do. I make a nidhr, Ya Allah. I will go to Masjid al-Sahla for 40 days and do i'tikaf. I'tikaf is to spend the nights and days at a center, masjid, and worship Allah. 40 days. By the way, have you noticed the trend? 40 days, a nidhr, a vow, do i'tikaf 40. There seems to be a pattern. And by the way, the number 40 is common. Allah increased the amount of time that Musa was in Jabal Sinin, Sinai, from 30 to what? 40 days. Rasulullah's bi'tha begins with how old was he? 40 years old. What's the number 40 so special? Allah seems to have a system. On one hand, 313. On another hand, 40. There are certain codes in life that Allah decides to make it this way, this path. 40 days, I will do i'tikaf in Masjid al-Sahla in Kufa. Why is it called Sahla? Because of how easy the dua is answered. Sahla means with ease. لتسهيل استجابة الدعاء. It's so easy to get your dua answered. Inshallah, you go to Masjid Sahla and make dua there. Imam Sayyid Shihab ad-Din goes. He's 17 years old, 40 days. He says on day 36, this is in his Mudhakkirat, his autobiography, he wrote it. And he wrote this experience down. You can find it even online today. He says, on day 36, I'm a young man. I have nothing in this world. My dad just left. I'm just worshiping and praying. Says on day 36, however, as I'm walking, I'm praying in the masjid, and I'm walking back to my corridor, the room, I hear footprints behind me. It's dark and no one's here. Back then, Masjid Sahla is just open land and some rooms. Now it's a built mosque, mashallah. So I look and I see someone I don't recognize. That person said to me, however, Assalamu alaikum ayyuha sayyidu jalil. Peace be upon you, O noble Sayyid. He says, I was afraid. I'm alone. Who is this random guy? The second he says, Assalamu alaikum, O noble Sayyid, my heart was filled with tranquility. I don't know why. There's an ease with people. There's a calmness with some people, subhanAllah. Hopefully the speaker included, I don't know, maybe the opposite. There's an ease with people that when they speak, when they smile at you, when they glance, there's a sense of itma'nina and tranquility. He says, I just felt that cover me completely. And I said to him, I didn't see you. What brought you around? He says, I'm here to worship like you are. Come, let's go to Maqam Imam As-Sadiq. There's a maqam in Masjid Sahla, Maqam Imam As-Sadiq, and pray there. They go and they stand and they pray. The Sayyid, 17-year-old, says, I look at him, something's odd about him. When he prays and he makes dua after his salah, I can hear the walls pray with him. The floor reverberate with dua with him. He says, in the distance, I can see the trees respond back to his dua. The mountains in the distance seem to be echoing his dua. This one is special. He says, and he looks at me and smiles. Every tooth he has is glistening white. He says, back then, 1920s, who had teeth brushed, who had whatever, who understood oral dentistry? No one understood any of that. He says, him, it stood out. Shining, radiating, kept clean. He says, he wasn't old, he wasn't young, around the 40s. He was an alim. He was clearly a sayyid, I could tell by the way. Something was strange and unique about him, but there was a comfort to him. He says to him, I offered him a few things. Now, this is what Sayyid Shihabuddin says he offered. I offered him tea. He said no. He said, I offered him coffee. He says, there's no need. He even says, I offered him shisha. He says, these are the luxuries of life, and we are not interested in the luxuries of life. He says, is this haram? Is this halal? He says, not about haram, but I have a discipline. The luxuries I leave in life. He says, then I begin to ask him a few questions. Each question he answers like he has the answer right there in front of him. He then says he left me with a couple wills. Pay attention to these wills. He says, Sayyid Shihab, I encourage you to do one thing. Pray for those who have no one to pray for them. Id'u liman lan yadhkurhum dhakir. That was his will. Pray for those who have no one to pray for them. From the ahya and the amwat. I leave you with that will. He says, and I leave you with an istikhara, with the tasbih of Fatimah al-Zahra. If you ever have trouble in life, do this. Take your istikhara, your sibha, your tasbih. He teaches him this, and this today, by the way, Maraja encourage it too. The tasbih, and this is how you do it. Khira, usually by the Quran, many of us know. Allahumma khirli khaira. But he says, grab your sibha and grab it from any place. And you start taking two after two after two. If it ends with one bead at the very end, he says, one at the very end, then that means this is something you shouldn't consider. But if it ends with two, then that means this is something you should consider. As-Sayyid Shubayri Zanjani, the Marja' in Najaf today, in Qom says that this is an istikhara that has never missed. This is one thing that has definitely been true and a dalil to the sincerity of this version. He says that I told this stranger that I will go and pray, but I need to make wudu. When I left and did wudu, I came back, he was gone. Now you notice, some might say, didn't you say whoever claims they saw the Mahdi make him a liar? The Sayyid never said, I met Imam Mahdi. He just said, I met someone. But all the hallmarks of this individual are genuinely sincere. That could it be that he meets the Imam and we don't know? Could you have met the Imam? The hadith says when the Imam reappears, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif, most of the Shia and the non-Shia will say, I've seen you before. I just didn't know it was you. Yeah, I wonder why when he goes to Hajj every year and he's around and about. Ghaiba doesn't mean he's on Mars. Ghaiba means he's here. Of course, that's the only explanation as to how we made it thus far. But I ask you a question. You're like, maybe these are ulama, maybe these are awliya. Me, Baba, I have a past. You think you have a past? We all have pasts. Ya akhi, I don't have a past. I have a now that I don't like. I have a past that's, Ya Allah, please delete that. Select, delete history. I have a future, Allahu a'lam. اغفر لي ما تقدم من ذنبي وتأخر يا Allah. Will I ever have the honor? You ask yourself this question, Ya Allah, I just had my religious awakening. Can I see the Imam? Or is it just for Shihab ad-Din, Ali ibn Mahziyar, Allam? Habibi. Even Shimr saw the Imam of his time. But there's a difference between seeing the Imam and having ma'rifah of the Imam. Seeing the Imam is nothing. Well, who cares? You saw the Imam. Did you have ma'rifah of the Imam of your time? Have you considered that? Umar ibn Sa'ad saw the Imam of his time. All these riffraff, Harmala saw the Imam they saw not the Imam. I wish. The A'imma of their time. Al-Baqir was there. Zayn al-Abidin was there. Hussein alayhi salam was there. They saw the A'imma of their time. But did they have the ma'ar? That's why when you go and read the ziyarah of Sayyidah Fatima al-Ma'suma, it says that Allah will give manzara ukhti, if you're reading the ziyarah of Imam Rida or from the Imam al-Jawad, ammati al-Ma'suma biqum. What do they add as a condition? عارفا بحقها وجبت له الجنة. Jannah becomes wajib on them if you are aware of her ma'rifah, her status in your life, her role in your life. And that's why, brothers and sisters, those enemies of Allah knew the Imam of their time. They just didn't have the ma'rifah. They can see him. May Allah not make us from those who see the Imam but don't see him with this heart, brothers and sisters. And on a night we honor the young girl, Fatima al-Sughra, who sees the Imam of her time. But how difficult is it that she sees her Imam leaving her? No father enjoys saying goodbye or bidding farewell to their beloved daughter. And she sees her father. As he departs, she goes and chases after the caravan as Imam al-Hussein sets off. But do you know, before Imam Hussein set off, he looked at his beloved daughter and he kissed her. He embraced her. He brought her near. She said to him, Father, Father, I see you taking my baby brother Asghar, but you're not taking me. Father, Father, you're taking my family and my mother, but you're not taking me. You're taking my sister Sukayna and my sister Ruqayya. Baba, take me with you. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, hadith mentioned, he would pray, she would always pray standing by him. His baby girl, his young daughter, according to traditions, about 3 or 4 years of age. As Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam begins departing from Medina, heading to Mecca al-Mukarramah, and from there to Karbala, Fatima al-Sughra says to him, Father, Father, take me with you. I see you've taken all my siblings, but you have left me alone. Imam al-Hussein says to her, my beloved Fatima, I leave you in the care of al-Banin. Fatima, I can't thank you for you are ill. Fatima al-Sughra says, Father, at least tell me you're coming back. It's like the poet here comes and says, أخاف امنعوفك بعد ما أشوفك.